Hey guys, time for a random, completely off topic, not fashion related, not cologne related, not shaving related video. I do these every once in a while, and this one is going to be on video games. I think I done one a couple years ago. Um, like some games that I liked and stuff like that. But you might have seen my little community post. If you didn't, that's okay. Where I was playing Halo for the first. I turned on the Xbox One for the first time, really, in a couple of years, and I forgot I had the Halo collection. That's what came with my Xbox One. So I downloaded it and I played the original Halo. I just love Halo, the original Halo. It's really about the time I really got into video games for a few years. That's because it was the first time I was making money, my own money, and I could buy the stuff. Because as I've mentioned before in this channel, we were poor. We were poor right up until I was into my late teens. We were poor, and then everything started. I mean, we're not rich, my family, myself, or my family, but we're doing a lot better than we were 20 years ago. Trust me. Um, which will come into play in a bit. Um, so I said, well, you know what? What's my favorite, my top 10 video games? And you'll notice there's not a lot. There's no Nintendo on here. There's no Atari. Atari was before my time, believe it or not. There's no Nintendo. That I don't like Nintendo, but it wasn't my thing. I was a Sega kid. And the reason I was a Sega kid, because of the arcade games. I mean, I remember seeing a couple commercials for the Sega Master System, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." But first off, I know I'm never gonna get it because we were poor, and I didn't know if Santa brought electronics or not. Um, so but I seen the commercials, and I got pretty excited because I'd go grocery shopping with my mom and my dad when I was a kid, and if they couldn't get a babysitter or couldn't afford a babysitter at that time, either or. Um, because like I said, I was poor, proud of it, made me who I am today. And so what would happen would be you'd go to the mall, and in the mall there's like the grocery store mom would shop at, and down the hall a little ways was an arcade. Well, my sister and later on my little brother would stay with my mom when they went shopping, and dad would take me and give me $1 or two in quarters to go play a few video games. And I play them, then we go back, and mom would usually done or close to done. You know what I mean? And but I walk in that arcade, and yeah, there's all kinds of games there. But you know what stood out the most was the Sega games. Think about it. Afterburner. You sit in the cockpit of a plane with a joystick, and the thing would turn and shake, and you'd be, and outrun. You're in the cockpit of a car. I mean, your shifter, gas, brake, steering wheel, it's turning with you and stuff. And yeah, I mean, they were great. And hang on, they had motorbikes that you sat on, and you played hang on a motorbike, and it would turn and gas and brakes and everything. They just stood out way better than anything. Like so I was like, okay, I want the Sega system. I'm gonna try and ask Santa for the Sega system because I know my mom and dad can't afford it. And again, I said we were poor, so we were lucky to afford groceries on a weekly basis. We usually did, but there was a time we didn't, but we usually did, and pay the bills. And so, but it's really funny looking back. I done really good for a poor kid. Maybe we weren't as poor as I thought because I had all kinds of Transformers and GI Joes and clothes. I didn't have super designer clothes or anything like that, but I was fucking 7. I didn't care. and, but I did get my first pair of Reeboks when I was 10, and that was a big deal back then. The Reebok pump. So maybe we weren't as poor as I thought we were. Or maybe my dad and mom just went into debt for us. That's probably what it was. Anyway, it's not a boo-hoo video. We were poor. I didn't think I was going to get the Sega. It just seemed like too much of a, it was like, I don't know exactly how much, but it was the equivalent of probably $400, $500, $600 nowadays to get this video game system. And so anyway, long story short, too late, motherfucker. Um, I got the Sega Master System because I was a Sega kid. Liked them in the arcade. And I was so excited when I got it that Christmas morning, too. I remember opening it. And, well, I opened up the little black and white TV, and maybe it was this big. So what the hell did they get me a little TV for? And I think it was used. There was no box or anything. It was just in a, but whatever. I didn't care. I was a kid. And it was black and white. Color was a thing, you know. But either way, I didn't care. And like that's weird. I didn't ask for a TV, especially an old black and white one. But yeah, whatever. And then I opened up a couple gifts, and then I got to this box, and I opened it up, and there's the Sega Master System, 2 controllers, the phaser gun, and my very first video game. This one isn't the one I own. This one belonged to David at some point in time. But this was the very first game I ever had on my very first game system. And it was the only game for a long time because, again, I rented a lot of games, but we could never afford to buy them, right? So, and I got really good at hang on. I could beat Safari Hunt without pretty much missing a thing. I got so good at it. And hang on, I beat hang on. You know, because that's all you had to play. And we didn't play a lot either. I want to reiterate that. This was more of a storm day type thing where you couldn't go outside, or you had friends stay over that night, so you played video games and or watched movies. That's when we played video games. It wasn't like it is today. And again, I'm not one of those guys, oh, games were better, this was better. No, times change. It's what it is. Shit changes. So, wasn't any better, just different. So I'm going to go with, now we're getting to my top 10. These were great, but they're not my favorite. They're just super nostalgic because they were the first video game I wrote. These are my favorites. We'll start with the Master System. Great baseball. I've never been the biggest baseball fan. Like I said, I like the Blue Jays. And I picked this up for $5 a couple years ago. And I couldn't remember. I knew there was a baseball game I played on the Sega Master System with my buddy Chris and my brother Chris. And it had a home run thing. I mean, it's primitive graphics too. It's like green and black and stick figures, basically. But the gameplay was so fun. Not necessarily playing the baseball game. I didn't care about that. But the home run thing you had to do was great. And we would play it for hours and hours. So yeah, the graphics are pretty much stick figures. But the gameplay was fun. And we would play it for hours. And this is no order either. These are just my 10 favorite video games. You can put them in any order you want if you want to. Double Dragon. This was a really good arcade port. Better than the Super Nintendo. The Master System was, I guess more powerful, whatever the words you want to use than the Nintendo NES. And it showed when they had the same games how much better the Sega games were. And this is my favorite because I really love Double Dragon in the arcade. And when my brother got a little older, around 5 years old, and I was, 8, we would play it together. And we played again. It was another one we beat multiple times. One of the other few ones we owned when we were kids. The next one coming up, we actually owned too. I can't remember where we got it. I think Dad probably got it from a thrift store. And that was Shinobi, the original Shinobi. Again, played it in the arcade. I fucking loved it in the arcade. I remember I could get about halfway through the game in the arcade. And I'm an 8-year-old kid, 8-year-old kid. I could get through about half of it before I died and had to put in another quarter to continue. I got really good at it. I beat this the first time I put it in the Sega Master System. I beat it. No, I'm lying. Remember this, right? I put it in and died. I think level 2 because it was a little different. And then my brother had a round on it. And he got to about where I got and died. And then I had the next round on it, and start to finish, I beat it without dying. Great memories of sitting with my little brother and we're playing that game. And he used to love the bonus stage where you throw the ninja stars at the ninjas running at the screen. That was his favorite part. So that was pretty much my very young childhood. Now going into my later childhood and into my earlier teens, Sega came out with the Genesis. Was never a Sonic fan. I was never a platformer fan. That's why Mario, while I like Mario, it's never been a thing for me. That's not really my kind of game. Those kind of games. But there's one I don't have. I do have it, but I can't find it, and that would definitely be in here. That would be Mortal Kombat 2. Mortal Kombat. Dun, 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 dun. But I can't find where I put it. It's not with my video games. So I'm not including it, but it's a caveat. It would be here. It'd be 11, my 11 favorite games. The first one I'm going to mention is, you'll notice a bit of a thing here. I like fighting games, uh, especially 16-bit ones from the Genesis Super Nintendo days. And one of my favorites is, a lot of people don't like these next two, but I really do, Primal Rage. I loved Primal Rage. I'm renting it like crazy. Never owned it until the last few years because I couldn't afford it. But I rented it like crazy from the store. And another one I could beat with every character. And I did many times. Primal Rage. Just like a dinosaurs and monsters and stuff, that fighting game like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter. Another one was actually Sega's, I guess you would say, answer to Mortal Kombat, and that was Eternal Champions. A lot of people shit on this game. I love it. I love it to death. I still haven't beaten it with every character. It's fucking hard, and it's just getting harder every year goes by because my reflexes aren't what they used to be. My eyesight, my reflexes. So I'll never beat it with every character, but that's okay. I've beat it with about half of them. And it's one of those ones. I haven't played this. It's gotta be 4 years now, 5 years. I should probably give it a go. Maybe I will. But Eternal Champions on a Genesis. There's another one I don't have. I only have it in my little Genesis. I have a little Genesis I bought that has built-in games, and that's a Comic Zone. That was really fun too. That might be here too if I had it. But this one, Disney's Aladdin. What a great game on the Genesis. I played it on the Super Nintendo, and it's okay. But on the Genesis, this was a beast of a game. It's complete and everything else. You even got the little booklets, and little manual, and the cartridge. I've never beaten this game. Not because it's super hard. I've never sat through and played it, but I'll always pick it up. And when I put it in, I remember putting it in and thinking, actually, my brother rented it one time. And no, my brother borrowed it from my cousin at one time. And I was like, oh God, Disney game. I'm sitting there playing Eternal Champions and Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and Primal Rage, and he brings home Aladdin. Go ahead, kid. Girl. Sorry. I was a child. I really thought it was a girl game. And he starts playing it, and I'm watching, like, it's kind of fun. You know, of course, being a big brother, I still had to be like, yeah, that's horrible. I'm leaving. Anyway, he goes to bed that night because he was a few years younger than me. So I put it in. I loved it. I love it to this day. Said I've never beaten it. I play video games not to beat them, though. I never have. If it happens, it happens. I just play them to enjoy them. And every time I play Aladdin, even like I said, 3 or 4 years ago was the last time I played it. I played it for an hour or so. I enjoyed every minute of it. It's great. All right, now we're getting into some of the Xbox stuff. Skyrim. What a game. What a game. I first played it on, I think it was PlayStation 3. Yeah, it was my PlayStation 3, and it was so buggy that I couldn't play it. So I went and traded in my PlayStation 3 and a few games, and got an Xbox 360 and Skyrim on 360, and it was way better. Still had some bugs, but it was way better. It was playable, at least. And then I got the Xbox One version, the special edition, and my God, what a game! I still play this and enjoy it every now and then. Like I said, it's been a few years, but I just don't play a lot of video games anymore. The one I played tonight, Halo, the anniversary edition, the one that lets you change. What a game! I originally played it on the original Xbox, but I don't know where my original Xbox version is. I do have it again, but I don't know where it's at. So I grabbed the anniversary edition one that I could find, and just memories. Like I said, playing Halo, doing LAN parties with Halo. Going over my buddy's house, and we had 4 TVs hooked up and 4 Xboxes and 4 copies of Halo, and all our friends brought over their TVs, and that was a chore back then because they weren't like big old tube TVs, big 30-inch tube TVs, weighed about 150 fucking pounds, 200 pounds. We all brought them over to my buddy's house and hooked up. And Xboxes weighed like 500 pounds, so it wasn't a. We had to work for our multiplayer. God damn it, no internet. But anyway, yeah, no, it was. I love Halo. I love Halo. Absolutely love Halo. It's fallen. The last Halo I played was Halo 4, and still a good game, but yeah, no. When Halo was the best, then Halo 3 for me, then Halo 2, and then Halo 4. And I actually really liked Reach and ODST too. Reach was really good too. Next one is the Fallout series. Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3, and Fallout 4. This is where Fallout started for me. I know there's 1 and 2, but they're different kinds of games. I just remember buying, again, it was the PS3, and borrowing the game from a friend. He bought the game the day it came out, and but he didn't like it. So about 2 weeks later, I borrowed it from him and never returned it. And he didn't ask for it back. So I didn't purposely never return it. Just sometimes you borrow something, you forget you borrowed it. And he never asked for it back. And that memory never hit me till about 4 years after. It was like, shit, this is his game. And at that point, we had lost contact. We weren't great friends. More work friends than anything. But yeah, the Fallout series. I loved every one of them. I can't wait for Fallout 5. And last but not least, the Batman video games. I love these. I've only beaten the first one. The other 3 are really good too, though, and I'm sure there's a couple more I'm missing. They're really good. I got this one when it first came out, 7 years ago now? And at that point, I had lost interest in video games, so I really haven't played a lot of this one at all. I got to the point where you got into the Batmobile, and I didn't like that, so I kind of threw me off of it. But hopefully they make another one with less Batmobile. No Batmobile would fine with me. I'm not a video game critic, not a reviewer, but I will tell you why I don't like the Batmobile in this one. There's too much of it. It's too hard to control, and there's too much of it. Half the game you're spent in your Batmobile. Yeah, no, it wasn't my thing. But this one was my favorite. And these 2 I played almost to completion. I just never completed them. So, yeah, I mean, it was just a little something different, guys. A little bonus for you. It's a long video because I ramble a lot when I'm talking memories. And, yeah, so I hope you liked it. Again, if it's not your thing, just don't be a dick. Just don't watch it. You don't have to. It's fine. It's not a clone video, and I know that's what most of you come here for. All right, guys. Peace, love, be good to each other.